guys, this is a new video. This will be my first official tutorial video on this channel, and what we're going to be doing today is just a simple review of Ableton. What I wanted to do is start a new YouTube series on my channel for Ableton tutorials. Now, Ableton is a program for electronic music. It doesn't have to be electronic, it can just be kind of a place where you sort your music together or you edit some music. But I like to use it because I use it for electronic music. Now, you don't have to use it this way, but that's how I prefer to use it. So I'm just going to go over the basic parts of this program. And also, if you're wondering how to get this, it's really easy. You can go to your neighborhood guitar center. You can buy it on their website. You can buy it in many ways, or you could pirate it. I don't suggest that because that's cheating. You don't want to do that. Those are just some ways you can get this program. And also you can get this, I'm just going to warn you right now that this program is about $400. It's really expensive. So, it's going to be, it's kind of a big program, you want to, it's something that if you want to invest in it, it's something you might want to think about using for a long time, or get serious about, because it's a very expensive program. It's even expensive for adults that actually make money. I'm just, I'm not very old, as you can tell, but I saved my money to get this because I really found it interesting. I'm going to go over the basic parts of this program. So, basically, I'm going to cover this whole side over here. I'm going to cover this side of Ableton, which is technically called the MIDI side, and this side, which is called the audio side. And then I'm going to go over these buttons up here, what they do, these buttons up here, these buttons up here, and these tabs down here. So what we're going to start out with is this side. So what I have here is basically all of my sounds. So if I bring all these up, this is what you're going to find if you're new to this program, you just downloaded it. It's going to have instruments, MIDI effects, audio effects, and all these will be default programs. I have some that I have put in there that I've made, sounds that I've made, but everything you get here with the default program is just default sounds. So if you open up instruments and you open up instrument rack, this will be all of your mainly your main sounds. So your effects, mallets, guitars, strings, bass, all is going to be here. So that's where all that is. So that's instruments, drum racks, and then operator. These down here, these are effects. Actually, they're not effects. They're just different. Sorry, I screwed that up. That's what MIDI effects are down here. But all these are instruments. They're just instruments of different. These are more of the main instruments. So if you want to find a real guitar sound, that'll probably where you'll find it. If you want more of electronic, you might want to go to Impulse, and those are some extras you can put. But operator here is also different types of instruments. So if I did string bass, it might sound a little different. So I'm not going to actually go over each sound. That will take a long time, and also that's probably going to be mentioned in a different tutorial. This is just a tutorial on how this program works, like the basics of the buttons, like I said. So then if you go down here, I don't want to get that confused. Get on here to MIDI effects. These are just effects you put down here. So here's the effect rack kind of thing. This is where you can drag and drop things and put it in here. Now I just put this effect in here, and it should change the way my recording sounds. That's what the effect does, mainly. So I'll be showing how to use these effects later on. And then that's MIDI effects, and lastly is audio effects down here. So these are things like ping pong delay, what I have right here. I'm going to just play this track right here. Hold on a minute. If you just play this, that's the ping pong delay effect. And what it is basically it's the effect right here called ping pong delay, and what it does is it delays the sound. So you kind of have all these different gain, delay, limiter, looper. You have all these different effects that go within effects. So this is an audio effect, so this is where you put your audio effects. And when I said you can put MIDI effects in there, I was wrong. Take that back. I'm sorry. That is not, you put audio effects which affect the sound. MIDI effects affect the MIDI, which is completely different, and I'll talk about that later. But these are audio effects, so these do certain things to the sounds. Maybe make it louder. That's what overdrive does. Phaser, ping pong delay right here. That's what I have here, and that kind of adds a strong echo to your sound. That's what ping pong delay does, as you could just that I just showed. But that is what effects do on Ableton. Now let's move on to a different part. So that is the side where you open sounds and use default tones. Okay, and over here what we have is a bring and arrow that just brings this window in and out. This is where you'll find your main sounds, so instruments, MIDI effects, and audio effects. And here are your plugins. So a plugin is basically a separate program that is used to make either sounds or different, all sorts of things. This is a plugin right here. I already have one opened up. And if you click that button right there, I'll just show you what Massive looks like. I'm going to be doing a bunch of tutorials on this program. But this is a plugin. And this plugin makes sounds. So what you do is you make certain sounds with this program, and it is very, very useful when it comes to electronic music. So I highly suggest getting this if you're planning on getting Ableton, or if you're making electronic music in general, this will really help you, and this will help you make lots of awesome stuff. So that's a plugin. Here's another plugin called Albino, and you also have some plugins from Apple. If you have an Apple computer, you'll have some built-in plugins. All of these right here, so that's pretty cool. And then if you go down here, these are your files. So these are actually sounds you can save sounds that you make here. So let's just say I made a sound with a plugin with Massive, and I can actually save that as a default sound here. But if you didn't want to save it as a default sound, you're just going to use it once or twice, you'd go to your folders. So here are separate sounds. Here these are dubstep wobbles. So you kind of get the point, what I mean. So this is where you'll find sounds you download. This is actually in a wobble pack that you download or you buy off of beatport.com. That's just one I bought. Otherwise, this is what you'll have. This is basically your desktop kind of thing. So if you see these Vox, that's basically just a singing track I have that would be here on my desktop. So yeah, that's the folders. You have 3 different folders, so samples, and then here's some lessons if you want to learn some. I think that's where you go. I'm not sure, but there's also a place you can always go to help if you have a question. I don't suggest that because it can be confusing and it probably won't answer your question if you have a really complex question. So that's what I'm here for, to show you how to do a lot of the stuff. Otherwise, yeah, and that is stuff you've used recently, I'm pretty sure. Or, yeah, you've viewed recently. So, yeah, that's basically this whole side. And now let's move on to these buttons up top. So this is basically your metronome. What your metronome is. So if I turn this on, my metronome is currently at 133. That's what I set it as. You know what? It's probably going to be better if I open up a new. Set list, because I don't want to mess up what I have here. So just save that, and yeah, just wait for it to load. Okay. So, hey guys, sorry I'm back. I just had a little pause there. Okay, so back to what I was doing. I actually just remembered something extremely important. So, you don't have to watch this video. I highly suggest it because I like explaining things, and I'm pretty sure it's probably better that way. But if you see down here, this is an info view. So basically, if you drag your mouse over anything, it will tell you the definition down here. It will tell you the definition of what your mouse is dragged over. So, clip slot. My mouse is over a clip slot, so each session, blah, 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 blah. So basically, you just have the definition of what it is. So if I put it over here, tempo, nudge down, nudge up. So I was going to talk about this section anyway. But I was just going to say that the definition's down there. If it doesn't really make sense to you, that's why I would watch my video, because it makes more sense that way. So, one really cool thing about Ableton is that you can do almost anything with this program. And here's the metronome, and I want to show you that you can tap in your metronome. So if I want it, you just click in your rhythm, and you'll get your tempo. You can also type it in if you really, I'm pretty sure you can type it in. Well, here you can do that. Anyway, I would just tap it in. So if I wanted it super slow, so that's just how the metronome works. And you can nudge up, nudge down, and it's either in 4/4 time, 3/4 time. If you know how any of that works, I suggest looking up how that works, because it's pretty important with music in general. Okay, now let's move on. Over here is how you will record from this side to this side. Now, what you do is you press this button right here, and then you press spacebar. That's how you play. And what it is doing is recording. Right now I have no tracks playing. I have absolutely no tracks, so that's why nothing's coming up here. That's how that works. That's how you record stuff onto the audio side. And if you're wondering how to get there, all you have to do is press tab. It's a shortcut. You just press tab, and it'll take you to the audio side, and press tab again and take you to the MIDI side. So it's that easy, pretty much. So yeah, that's how that works. You have a draw-in tool, which enables you to draw notes. It's really easy to use. I'll be doing another video on that, but otherwise, that's how that works. Okay, so now let's go over to here. Now, what this does is this is how you can loop. You can loop tracks. This is the punch-in switch, which what it does is it is to prevent recordings to it's kind of like a backup thing. If you mess up, you can use this to fix it. And then this is the loop start and the loop end. Or no, never mind. This is the length region. So basically, this is kind of the start, and this is kind of the how long it is in general, and then it'll end it when it ends it. So I don't really have to use this. It's not a super important thing. Just if you're making complex music, you might want to try to use it. So now let's go over here. So if you see this percentage bar right here, this is your CPU loader. So what it's doing is, if I have a ton of MIDI tracks here, what it'll do is it'll either be using CPU or not. And whenever it's using a lot of CPU, it's not a good thing at all. I would suggest having it on at all times. Never have it off. As you can see, if you just click on it, it turns it off, but make sure it's on. But what it is if you have a lot of MIDI tracks or something, a big file or whatever, it'll take up a lot of CPU. And you really don't want that. So that's why using this audio side will take up a lot less CPU. I'll do a little bit more depth on that. I'm just going to tell you what it is right now in this video. So that's the CPU loader. And this is like if it's overflowing, this is the hard drive overload. So if it starts to do things that are not good, it'll definitely let you know. I've had that happen to me before. Okay, so now over here is key and MIDI. So key, what you do with key is you can edit map a key to your slot here. So I have not really used this as much because I use MIDI a lot. So I'm going to explain that right in a second. Right now I have MIDI selected. So if you have a MIDI keyboard, if you don't know what a MIDI keyboard is, it's a keyboard that you can put sounds onto. It's kind of an easier way to make music than using my keyboard on my computer. It's just easier that way. Most people have one. You don't have to have it, but it's definitely preferred. Otherwise, if you have MIDI selected, what you do is you press a key on your MIDI, and then you then click on the spot you want mapped. And what it'll do is it'll hook that key onto your MIDI up onto here. So you can really actually hook this up to anything. You can hook the MIDI up to really any button on this program, which is really cool. But I'm going to be doing an in-depth video on that later on, just telling you what this is up here. And whenever you have something mapped up and you press a key, one of these will light up. And that will be an indication that the MIDI is traveling to your computer and working. So, yeah, and then over here is just some tracks. You can, if you have a track, this is where you can do your more effects into that. And that is basically this whole section up here. And down here you can put effects. This is your effect bar. Down here, these tabs are really just, these two tabs are right here are just kind of the same thing. They're just two different tabs, so you don't have to have the extra one. Here's another thing. If you want to get rid of your audio side, you can. Down here is where you can stop all clips. So if you have a bunch of audio or MIDI playing, you can just press that button. It'll stop everything. Down here is the volume of the track. So if you turn this up and down, it will volume everything. This will be the left side, right side, if you know how that works on a turntable. If you press that, that will solo the track, so that track is the only track playing. If you press it again and you have multiple tracks playing, the rest of the tracks will play. If you turn this off, it'll turn the entire track off and it won't work. You just have to have that on or you won't hear it. And record means you have, whoops, sorry. If you press record, that will have you record. What that will do is it'll record what you're doing. So basically you have to have that on. If you're using a MIDI keyboard and you're trying to record violin or whatever you're doing, you have to have that on, otherwise you'll probably mess something up on your recording if you've already recorded something. But I'll do a more in-depth video on how all of that works. Otherwise, guys, that's really it on how this program works, all these basic buttons. I hope this video helped you a lot. Just give it likes, subscribe. Please give me feedback if I did a good job on to explain it. If you have any questions, I will answer them right away. I'll do my best. And I forgot to say this is the master of all your channels, so this is the master volume of everything, and that is the gear for your headphone jack. So yeah, I'll explain the rest of the buttons later, but I mostly explained everything. So yeah, please give me feedback, and otherwise guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.